The New York Liberty went OT, showed some true grit to pull off a comeback win in OT against the Connecticut Sun, 95-90. I hope you didn't turn your TV off in the third because you missed all the action. So let's talk to Owen Pence, senior writer from Winsidr, to talk about the record set and the statement win for the Liberty last night. Owen, I see the smile. Thanks for joining us. We've had some big games throughout the WNBA this season, but this one might just have taken the cake. The Liberty down 20 in the third to manage to pull off a 5-point overtime win. How did they manage to pull off that comeback?
This might have been the wackiest game of the season. I mean, I almost turned it off myself. I think it was three things. I think it starts for me with Jonquel Jones. She's been the catalyst for this team in the second half. They've really played well when she establishes her presence in the interior. And we saw that last night. In the first half, she was a little bit passive, out of the rhythm of the offense. In the second half, completely dominant inside, rebounding the basketball, scoring in the restricted area, 21 points, 14 rebounds. So Jonquel was huge for them in coming back. I think the second thing was rebounding. Coach Sandy Brondello talked about this after the game. They stressed rebounding. Courtney Vandersloot in the huddle telling everyone, we got to rebound the ball. And you saw with just a few seconds left, it's Breanna Stewart who puts back, a miss and ties the game up or brings it within two to set up, the crazy ending with Sabrina Ionescu at the free throw line. And the third thing I think is just a little bit of luck and regression to the mean, right? They were missing a lot of three-pointers that they usually make over the course of the first three quarters. In that fourth quarter, they started to hit some shots. Sabrina hits one, Stewie hits one. And you need a little bit of luck like that. You need a team on the other side to make a few mistakes if you want to complete a 20-point comeback as they did.
Yeah, you mentioned Jonquel Jones. She said after the game, we're a team that if we stay together, we can accomplish anything. And they showed that with that grit performance last night. And speaking of accomplishments, both the Liberty's Breanna Stewart and the Suns' Alyssa Thomas rewrote history books last night. And that's just a week after Aces star A'ja Wilson tied the single-game scoring record. Break down these milestones, and where does this put both of these players in terms of Stewie and Thomas in terms of the MVP race now?
It's just such a fun season. We're seeing records being shattered left and right and historic performances every night, it seems like. With Breanna Stewart, she is completely redefining what it means to be a great player in this league. Just an unstoppable scorer at every level. And I think what might get lost, we know she can knock down threes from anywhere. It's the mid-range, it's the two-pointers to me that really stand out, something that has kind of almost become forgotten in modern basketball. Stewie brings that back. She dominates the mid-range, hitting mid-range jumpers at all points of the game. And we're seeing her take this New York Liberty team to levels that it may have never reached, depending on how far they make it in the playoffs. Alyssa Thomas is a completely different brand of basketball because she really doesn't shoot outside of 12, 14 feet. It is all downhill. She is a freight train running to the basket. And we see her play the four and defend other teams' power forwards and centers. Meanwhile, on offense, she runs the point. So what she is doing from a perspective of distributing the basketball, rebounding the basketball, playing dominant defense, I think these two players are squarely in the MVP conversation. Personally, I have A'ja Wilson first. I'd probably put Alyssa Thomas second and Breanna Stewart third. But really, any way you order them is entirely justifiable. Just three historic seasons that we're witnessing right now.
Yeah, it's going to come down, I believe, to the final game. I mean, this MVP race is going to be so tight. And Stewie showing why she has a mural back in her home city of Syracuse. The girl, she's a baller, man. And you mentioned that you said she's brought them to levels, or she could bring them to levels that they've never reached. Let's go and let's look ahead a little bit, because I go back and forth between the Liberty and the Aces on who's my favorite to win the title this season. So barring injury, have the New York Liberty and Stewie shown that they are favorites to win the chip?
This is a tough one. I go back and forth on it, too. First half of the season before the All-Star break, it was the Aces, hands down. I think we entered the season thinking it was going to be a bit of a toss-up, looking at the rosters. Both rosters absolutely stacked, really no holes. And then we saw Las Vegas pick up where it left off. For winning the championship last year, they had the same core intact, so they were able to hit the ground running this season and just dominate from the jump in a way that the Liberty couldn't do because they were incorporating new pieces and had to, leave some time to gel. And I think since the All-Star break, Jonquel Jones is healthier. Benijah Laney has been way more involved in the flow of the offense, and we're seeing what this Liberty team is capable of. And now it does feel like a toss-up. But if you're going to ask me to put my hat, on one side, I still am going to lean Aces here.
Ooh.
I hate to do it to you. Look, I think New York, has a 48% chance. Let's put it right there. It is so close. I could absolutely see it. But one thing that's huge for me is home court advantage. And Las Vegas, barring an absolute miracle, will have that home court advantage. They are so difficult to beat in their own building. And even with New York's exceptional play recently, even with New York beating Vegas a few times in the last few weeks here, Las Vegas still has the best net rating in basketball. They still have the best offense and the best defense in the WNBA. If they get Candace Parker back, I think they are definitely the favorite. If Candace Parker is out, I think it really could go either way. But because Las Vegas has home court advantage, I'm just leaning ever so slightly in their direction.
Either way, we've been spoiled all season, and we're in for a treat for the playoffs as soon as we get there. Hey, Owen Pence, we got to have you back on sometime soon. Thanks for joining us.
I can't wait. Thank you so much for having me.